Imagine being called disloyal after 6 years of saving your company's ass, because you dared to take a dental appointment, which was actually a job interview. Then imagine getting fired on a Tuesday morning by the same boss who never gave you a raise, and watching her world collapse 1 week later. Yeah, that was my week. Disloyal. That's the word she used. Said it like she was accusing me of treason against the crown. After everything Mercer and Lane has done for you, Veronica said, her mouth tight as piano wire, fingers drumming on a printout of my dental appointment. I sat across from her, clutching my bag like a flotation device while my career sank in real time. 6 years. 6 years of pitching, fixing, cleaning up messes, and making her look good. 6 years of defending the company, staying late, eating soggy conference room pizza, and dragging in millions in revenue. And now, fired. Just like that. Why? Because I interviewed, not signed, not accepted, not resigned, interviewed with one of our competitors. My name's Samantha Torres, I'm 32, and for the past 6 years I worked at Mercer and Lane in Austin, Texas as a senior brand strategist. The senior part was unofficial. My paycheck didn't know it yet. Veronica, aka Queen Cold-Blooded, slid my badge across the desk like it was a dirty napkin. Security will escort you. Your access has been revoked. We've already disabled your email. Cool. Great. Dignity shredded. I stood up, spine straight, hands steady. I wish you and Mercer continued success, I said calmly, though every muscle in my body wanted to hurl a coffee mug across the room. She blinked, confused, probably expected tears or begging. Nah. I packed my desk in 11 minutes flat. Family photo, broken stapler, the stress ball I never used, all into a sad cardboard box. My co-workers? They stared, whispered. One even mouthed, WTF? I smiled at them like I wasn't dying inside. But as soon as those elevator doors closed, the numbness cracked. Rage and disbelief poured in. 6 years. 6 years of building our biggest account, Synergen Pharmaceuticals, from a disgruntled half-client into a $20 million a year whale. And because I took a meeting with Brightview Creative, I was disloyal? By the way, that dental appointment? Yeah, it turned into a job offer, because the second I got in my car, my phone buzzed. Riley Chen, CEO of Brightview, texted, "Can we move our follow-up to today at 3 p.m.? Things are accelerating on our end." I laughed, actually laughed, in the parking garage, with my box of sadness on the passenger seat. Veronica thought she was punishing me. She had no idea what she'd just triggered. By the time I pulled into the Brightview parking lot, the shock of being fired had calcified into something much sharper. Clarity. No more second-guessing. No more waiting for recognition. I was done begging for crumbs at Mercer. I was here. To eat at the damn table, Riley Chen greeted me in the lobby like I hadn't just been fired 2 hours earlier. "Samantha, you good?" I nodded. "Oh, I'm better than good, I'm available." He smiled. "Then let's talk." We walked through. Brightview's open concept office, vibrant, buzzing with energy, like someone had cracked a window and let fresh ambition in. Not a beige wall in sight. In his corner office, Riley got straight to it. "We've been watching Synergen for a while. We know you're the reason they're still with Mercer. Not gonna lie, your LinkedIn caught our attention when that last campaign hit. You turned pharma ads into something people actually watched. That's no small thing." I blinked. "Wait. You knew about me before the interview?" He shrugged. "We noticed the work. Then we noticed the woman behind the work. Then you popped up on the recruiter's radar and, well, here we are." He slid a folder across the desk. "Director of Brand Strategy, 6-figure salary, equity, a signing bonus larger than my yearly. Raise requests at Mercer." "Riley," I said, barely breathing, "this is more than generous." "It's what you're worth," he replied simply. I wanted to cry, laugh, scream, all at once. But I kept it professional. "I accept." He extended his hand. "Welcome to Brightview." And just like that, I was reborn. Thursday morning, my new Brightview email lit up with a request from the Synergen board. They wanted to evaluate their agency relationship. Translation: Veronica's damage control wasn't working. Synergen's CMO, Brent Hale, had been quiet after I left Mercer, but not indifferent. He and I had spent years building a rapport. We worked through tight turnarounds, PR fires, and one particularly disastrous FDA recall campaign. I understood their brand better than they did sometimes. Now he wanted to chat. The meeting was set for Friday, Brightview's downtown conference suite. I showed up early, nerves in check. Laptop charged, strategy deck prepped. At 9:04 a.m., the board walked in. Brent raised an eyebrow when he saw me. "Well, this is unexpected." I smiled. "I imagine it is. No one at Mercer mentioned you joined Brightview. Guess they had other things to worry about." The room chuckled. I clicked open. The presentation, a sleek, aggressive pitch outlining exactly how Brightview would elevate Synergen's brand. I didn't badmouth Mercer. Didn't need to. Their performance had been doing the talking for weeks. Brent leaned forward. "You were the only reason we stayed as long as we did. Without you, there's no relationship to salvage." He looked at the others. "Let's vote." 10 minutes later, it was unanimous. Synergen was moving to Brightview, effective immediately. My former employer had just lost their largest client, 35% of their annual revenue, in one meeting, and I was the one who delivered the news. That afternoon, I got a call from a number I almost didn't recognize. Veronica. I let it ring. Twice. Then I answered. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then, "Samantha." Her voice wasn't cold this time. It was tight, controlled. I heard, "You're working with Brightview now." "Mm-hmm. Director of Brand Strategy." "I see." Another pause. She was calculating. "Perhaps we acted too quickly. I'd like to propose a conversation. Something mutually beneficial." I nearly dropped the phone, laughing. "You mean, like a merger?" I asked sweetly. "Because Mercer's about to fall apart?" Silence. "You fired me for looking at another job, called me disloyal, and now that you've lost your biggest client, you want to talk mutual benefit?" She cleared her throat. "I'm calling as a professional courtesy." "No," I said sharply. "You're calling because you miscalculated. You thought you could burn me and walk away clean. You didn't expect the fire to follow you." "Samantha?" "No. You don't get to say my name like we're equals. We're not. You fired your best asset over ego, and now you're bleeding. Good luck plugging that hole." I hung up. No screaming, no revenge speech, just cold truth and silence. By Monday morning, the ripple had turned into a tsunami. Synergen's exit didn't just leave a hole in Mercer's revenue stream. It left a crater. And now, the rest of the clients were looking into it, sniffing around, sensing blood in the water, and nothing attracts panic like uncertainty. First to flinch was Low Tech, a long-time mid-tier client. They requested a routine performance review, which is client speak for "we're shopping for replacements." By Tuesday, Rico Skin, a cosmetic startup I personally helped land 3 years ago, emailed asking if I was open to discussing new directions in branding, now that they'd heard I moved. Oh yeah, the grapevine was in full bloom, and it only got louder. By Wednesday, I'd received LinkedIn requests from 3 of Mercer's employees, 2 from departments I never even worked with, all of them ending with some version of, "If anything opens up at Brightview, I'd love to stay in touch." That night, I got a text from Jordan, a junior strategist who used to shadow me. Victoria had a meltdown in the break room, threw her tablet at the wall, whole floor heard it, nobody said a word. Oh, Veronica. Still think I was the problem? Then came the internal leak. Someone from Mercer, I still don't know who, sent Brightview a PDF, a full internal memo, marked confidential. Subject line, Agency Crisis Containment, Post-Synergen Strategy. In it, Veronica's plan to spin my departure as gross misconduct, a script for client managers, reinforce Mercer's commitment to ethics and loyalty, a chart titled Addison Threat Map, with my name listed. As a competitive vulnerability, Riley slid it across my desk with a smirk. "Looks like you're famous." "Infamous," I corrected, eyes wide. "She really made a threat map? I didn't even know I was that important." "She's imploding," he said. "Keep doing what you're doing." Meanwhile, at Brightview, I wasn't just coasting. I was building. We'd launched 3 new accounts in under 2 weeks. I'd built a team that respected me. Not because I demanded it, but because I earned it. And then came the event. Brightview was scheduled to host a regional marketing panel, rebuilding brand trust in a post-disruption economy. Riley had originally planned to speak, but after watching me present to Synergen, he pulled me aside. "You're doing the keynote." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "You're the one who lived it, the loyalty, the betrayal, the reinvention. No one can tell this story but you, and you're not just speaking for Brightview. You're the face of Brightview now. Gulp, the venue, downtown Austin. Big crowd, industry leaders, even a couple of journalists. And yes, Mercer employees were there, including one very pale-looking Veronica, seated in the third row, flanked by two junior execs who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. I took the stage with my heart in my throat and my notes in hand. But when the lights hit, something kicked in. I started with numbers, clean, sharp, undeniable. Then I told a story, not about revenge, but about worth. 6 years ago, I started with nothing but a cheap suit and a cheap laptop. I worked late, took every extra shift, said yes when others ran. I believed in loyalty. I believed loyalty would protect me. But loyalty without recognition is just obedience dressed up in a company polo. So when the door slammed shut behind me, I didn't collapse. I walked into a new room, one with windows and light and people who saw me. This industry doesn't need louder egos, it needs braver leadership. And it starts with knowing what you're worth and refusing to settle for less. Mick. Drop standing ovation. Even some Mercer folks clapped, awkwardly, like they were clapping at their own funeral. That same night, I got a text from Jessica, their former PR director. Hey, Mercer's in full-blown exodus. I put in my notice. So did 4 others. Veronica's having closed-door meetings with the board. And guess what? They're calling you the catalyst. Good. Let them call me a spark, a problem, a threat, a force, because I was all of that, and I wasn't done yet. By the end of that week, I was getting invitations I never imagined I'd see in my inbox, keynote requests, podcast guest spots, a write-up in Modern Brand Weekly titled, The Strategist Who Outsmarted the System, and the cherry on top, the Austin Business Journal reached out for a profile, title pending. But I had a good guess, something between Brand Slayer and Mercer's Reckoning. Meanwhile, back at Mercer, Veronica's castle was burning. Fast. 5 resignations in 3 days. 2 client losses. And 1 brutal rumor flying around like confetti at a funeral. The board's having emergency sessions. Veronica might be out. Jessica, Mercer's former PR director and now my unofficial mole, texted me that Friday. They brought in an external consultant. Some guy from DC, Serious Hatchet Energy. You mean like cleaning house? Exactly. Starting at the top. Oh, Veronica, you played checkers while I installed a chessboard. That Monday, I was in Brightview's 18th floor cafe sipping overpriced oat milk coffee when Riley dropped by my table with a grin. You've got options, he said, sliding over his phone. On the screen? An email chain between Brightview and Stratus Global, a Fortune 500 behemoth I'd once pitched while still at Mercer. Stratus wanted a full strategy revamp. They asked for me by name. I told them we'd think about it, Riley said, but only if you want to take lead. I blinked. They know I'm not CMO, right? Yet. I stared at him. Wait, is that a real offer? He leaned back, arms crossed. You're the best brand mind I've seen in 10 years. You're already functioning like an executive. You've built a team, landed 2 clients, and caused a high-profile competitor to detonate. All in 3 weeks. Pause. If you want the CMO track, it's yours to grow into. We'll clear the lane. I was speechless, which, for me, is rare. I'll need to think, he laughed. Take a day, maybe 2, just don't leave. Spoiler, I wasn't going anywhere. That night, I opened LinkedIn, just to scroll. Guess who had updated her profile? Veronica L. Simmons. Title changed from CEO, Mercer and Lane, to Available for Consulting Opportunities. Brutal. No farewell post. No carefully crafted goodbye. Just that lonely little word, available. And then, as if fate was a stand-up comic, I got an email from Harper Whitmore, senior partner at Cascade Ventures. Subject line, looking to rebuild Mercer, with you at the helm. I nearly spit out my wine. Inside, he wrote, Samantha, with recent leadership shifts at Mercer, we're advising the board on restructuring. Your name has come up repeatedly, not just as a strategist, but as a potential CEO. Would you be open to a conversation? Let that sink in. The company that fired me for being disloyal now wanted to hand me the corner office. Stared at the screen, laughing so hard I startled my neighbor's dog through the wall. You don't get to fire someone and then beg them to come back wearing a crown. No, you just don't. But part of me was tempted. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted closure. The next morning, I put on a black blazer, red lipstick, and my sharpest heels. The ones I used to wear when I walked into client pitches they thought I was too young to lead. Walked into Mercer's boardroom with Cascade's Harper at my side and 6 very nervous-looking board members in front of me. The chairwoman stood. "Samantha, thank you for agreeing to meet." "Let's be clear," I said. "I'm not here to fix what Veronica broke. I'm here to make sure it never happens again." Dead silence. I outlined my terms. If I considered a return, it would be as CEO, with full control of operations, culture reset authority, team restructuring freedom, and a contract that guaranteed I could never be sidelined or overruled by petty politics. No compromises, no games. They said they'd discuss. I said, "Take your time. I'm not in a rush." Because the truth was, I already knew my answer. Later that night, I sat on my balcony, phone in hand, email open, cursor blinking, replying to Cascade Ventures. Subject, Opportunity at Mercer. I typed, "Thank you for the conversation. I appreciate the board's interest in bringing me on as CEO. However, I've already built something better, and I'm not looking back. Please consider this my formal decline. Warm regards, Samantha Torres, Director of Brand Strategy, Brightview Creative, San Done. No regrets, no power plays, just peace, and the knowledge that the best revenge was never needing them again." The morning after I declined Mercer's CEO offer, I expected a wave of second thoughts, regret, doubt, maybe even a touch of guilt. Instead, I felt free, like someone had finally cracked open the ceiling above my head and said, "Go as high as you want." At Brightview, things weren't just going well, they were accelerating like a rocket with no brakes. We'd onboarded 2 new clients that week. My team had expanded to 7 strategists, and our most recent campaign for Synergen was already outperforming projections by 38%. Riley called me into his office on Thursday. He closed the door, sat down, and gave me that familiar, "I've got something game-changing" look. "Sam," he said, "how do you feel about London?" I blinked. "I don't know. I like tea." He grinned. "Not a vacation, a move." He handed me a printed deck, Brightview Europe, expansion strategy. My name was on the cover. "I've cleared it with the board. We're opening a London branch next quarter. We want you to lead it." Title, VP of Global Strategy. You'd have full authority to build the European team from scratch. Salaried relocation, international housing, the whole thing. I sat back in my chair. "You want me to take Brightview International?" "Not just take it," he said. "Own it." I didn't speak for a full minute. My brain was running 12 simulations per second. Then I finally said, "Yes, hell yes." He stood and shook my hand. "Start planning. We go global this fall." That night, I video called Olivia, my best friend since college, and the first person who texted me the day I was fired. She answered with a spoon in her mouth. "This better be good. I'm in bed with a pint of mint chip and a rom-com queued up." "It is," I said. "Remember that disloyal speech?" "Oh, please," I still quote it. "What now?" "I'm moving to London, VP of Global Strategy." Her spoon clattered onto the desk. "You're what? Sam, are you— Wait, for Brightview?" I nodded, grinning. She screamed so loud I had to lower the volume. "Girl, you're globally disloyal now!" We both burst out laughing. Meanwhile, Mercer was still unraveling. Jessica texted again. "Veronica tried to consult for a startup this week. They posted about it, then deleted it an hour later." "Why?" "People commented screenshots from your keynote. Someone even made a meme. You're trending on Brand Talk." "That's right. Someone clipped part of my keynote, posted it on TikTok, and it blew up." Caption: "When your company fires you, so you take their biggest client and land a better job." The audio? My voice saying, "Loyalty without recognition is just obedience," in a polo. It became a soundbite, a trend. People were lip-syncing it, using it for quit my job stories, career pivots, and fired me into my dream life videos. One comment read, "She didn't burn the bridge. She bought the river." Another, "Veronica really fumbled a whole global exec to protect her fragile ego. It felt surreal. I had become a symbol, not of revenge, but of freedom." That weekend, I met Riley and our legal director for dinner. We reviewed early-stage property options in London, potential hiring rounds, and onboarding timelines. Toward dessert, Riley leaned over the table. "You know, A few people said I was crazy to hire you so fast. Said it'd make us look petty, or like we poached. I raised an eyebrow. Regrets? Only that we didn't find you sooner. He paused. Mercer's collapse was their own doing. You just accelerated what was already broken. That's not revenge. That's justice. I smiled, sipping my wine. Maybe he was right. Maybe I hadn't destroyed anything. I'd just stopped holding it up. By the time my plane touched down at Heathrow 3 months later, everything had changed. My title, my salary, my country, my view, both literal and metaphorical. No more office politics. No more unspoken ceilings. No more next year maybe raises. Just clean air, big ideas, and a team that wanted to build, not beg. I stepped into the London office, bright, modern, still echoing with newness, and saw a simple plaque on the door, VP of Global Strategy, Samantha Torres. I touched it once just to feel if it was real. It was, and I knew in that moment I wasn't just writing a new chapter, had started a whole new book. It's a strange thing, standing in a foreign city, in a skyline you didn't grow up with, wearing a title no one ever wanted you to have. Stranger still, feeling like you finally belong. 3 months into my new life in London, I was sitting in a glass-walled boardroom at Brightview's European HQ, giving final approval on a campaign that would roll out in 6 countries, in 3 languages, with my name at the top of the strategy tree. Across the table, a junior creative nervously asked, "Is this okay with you, Ms. Torres?" I smiled. "Call me Sam, and yes, it's perfect," because it was. Not just the campaign, everything. A week later, I flew back to Austin for one final event, the Global Women in Branding Summit. The keynote speaker? Yours truly. The theme? Redefining loyalty when growth looks like betrayal to the wrong people. Oh, we were going there. The room was packed. 500-plus attendees, a few familiar faces, some former Mercer employees. One of them mouthed, "Go get 'em," from the 3rd row. I took the stage in a fitted navy suit and heels that screamed power and zero apologies, and I began. "Let me tell you a story. A woman gave 6 years of her life to a company. She said yes to every late night, every emergency project, every client no one else wanted. She brought in millions. She asked just once a year to be seen, to be heard, to be valued. And when she quietly explored her worth elsewhere, they called her disloyal. They fired her. But what they didn't realize is that she wasn't walking away. She was evolving. See, there's a funny thing about people who are undervalued. For too long, they don't just leave, they rise. And when they do, they don't burn bridges. They build empires. Loyalty isn't staying in a place that doesn't see you. It's staying true to yourself when the world tells you to shrink. The applause started slow, then roared. Afterward, women lined up to talk, to hug me, to say they'd quit toxic jobs that week, that they'd shown my viral clip to their boss, that they finally updated their resumes after years of telling themselves they weren't ready. One whispered, "You gave me permission." And that meant more than any title I'd ever had. That evening, I visited my old apartment in Austin, just to see it. Same door, same view, same little coffee shop across the street. I stood there for a second, not out of nostalgia, just to prove to myself that I'd really left, that I didn't belong there anymore. My phone buzzed, a LinkedIn notification. Veronica Simmons has updated her profile. New title, Brand Strategy Consultant, former CEO. I didn't click on it, didn't need to. Some endings don't require a punchline. On the flight back to London, I sat by the window, watching the lights below dissolve into the clouds, and I realized something. They thought firing me would end my story. That disloyal meant I was expendable, replaceable, forgettable. But what they actually did was launch me. They gave me the one thing they never intended to. Proof. Proof that I could rise without them. That my value wasn't tied to a building, or a logo, or a temperamental boss with a grudge and a Gucci bag. They called it betrayal. I called it beginning. And here's the truth for anyone listening. If they don't value you, don't fight harder to stay. Walk, run, fly if you have to. Because sometimes the most loyal thing you can do is choose yourself. And here it is, the finale of today's story. Did everything turn out as you imagined, or did it end unexpectedly? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's dive into the discussion together. If this Story kept you in suspense. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? This is your chance to join an incredible community where exciting new stories unfold every day. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date. Thanks for your attention and see you on your new adventures.